Okay, welcome to the Reborn podcast named Player versus Picture. We had a bit of a rebrand, and this is our grand entrance, me rambling off the cuff about it. Our old podcast named The Apocalypse, while I liked it and it was fitting, it was too hard to tell people about it via word of mouth. And especially if you're old, which I got feedback from both of my parents multiple times, they're like, how do you get to what's your podcast name again? So,
Lord.
Most people, like all of my friends, they find your podcast once and they add it to their list of favorites or their whatever, and then they just have it and they don't need to keep going to go find it. But you also told me you were trying to tell people at your workplace about it. And
yeah, and they also could, and then I would have to take their phone on Spotify and be like, shit, how did I find this? What did I have to do? I will say, when you type Player versus Picture podcast into YouTube and hit enter, we populate the top. We were actually the thing.
Yeah.
Instead of because the other problem was being the word apocalypse and co-opting that word. Is that word? You're going to get a lot of popular videos and other things. It's a very popular thing. I was kind of surprised this name wasn't taken, if I'm being real.
Well, going through the renaming process, obviously we thought of quite a few, and anytime I'm like, oh, that's a good one, look it up, oh, it already exists. So this is the first one that I thought of that also didn't exist anywhere. So I knew we would populate as soon as we're Googled. It's also catchy. It explains exactly what we are, what we do. It's a great name.
It also truncates the PvP, which is very
yes. Good. So that was actually what inspired it to begin with. I was like, what? There's got to be
a PvP?
Yeah. Well, I was like, there's got to be P words that can fit into PvP about, movies and
penis,
shit.
Penis, vagina, penis.
Penis versus penis. Penis versus penis.
Damn it.
Penis, vagina, poopy. Yeah.
Those are some good ones. I can't believe we did.
This is the Penis, Vagina, Penis podcast. Welcome back. Yeah. No, so this is our grand reopening as a name that we can just tell people verbally. Player versus Picture podcast. Look it up. Oh, cool. Go look up the Apocalypse. What? It's like the word apocalypse, but you reverse the O and the A. Wait, O-P. Oh, it's autocorrecting to apocalypse. And then you YouTube it and you're like, the apocalypse. Oh, what's this video about? And then you're suddenly stuck in a rabbit hole of the end of the world when you just wanted to listen to some nerdy brothers talk about fucking Frankenstein today.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Segue into the movie we're going to be talking about, and that is Guillermo del Toro's 2025 Frankenstein.
Yes.
All right. As we do at the top, we like to give kind of... I don't know what you thought, and you don't know what I thought. So This is actually first time here. So, Kyle, what did you think of it?
This is a tough one. I think my gut, just because it's a Guillermo del Toro movie, and it's well done enough top to bottom, I think I have to give it at least a 3 out of 5. But I think I'm going to give it a 3.5, 7 out of 10. I think is one.
Kyle, I swear to God. I swear I'm not copying your homework, because that's the exact why it, like when we were talking about right before the podcast of like, what am I going to rate this? Because it's a Del Toro movie, and this is made extremely well, acted almost all extremely well, and so I have to give it at least a 2.5, right, as like a baseline, because like it was so good, but. So I kind of was falling in that like between 3.5 spot. I think if I was going to just, without you saying that, I probably would have ended at like a 3 out of 5 is where I'm currently sitting. But I think partially I'm a little biased against retellings of like the classics. So like there is this era of like the story never surprised me as much because I know the story is relatively well known. The little like changes and stuff I think are good and stuff, but that to me is why it's always been kind of hard for me to get really excited even when I was watching it, because it's like, it's this one. Same with Nosferatu. as much as like I thought that was really good, it was still that same like, well, I know the story, so I don't know. Novelty is very does a lot for me, and this one it was lighter on that, obviously, because it's just talent. So,
I think
I think
you're just more in the know than I am, because maybe this is an embarrassing thing to admit, but I have zero knowledge on Nosferatu or his story or anything about him. I have zero knowledge on Frankenstein or I don't know what the original is. Lauren is in the middle of reading the original. She wanted to finish it before the movie came out, but she didn't get around to it because
failed. Wow.
She reads a page of a book and then falls asleep every night, so it's hard for her to.
Welcome to your mid-30s.
Yeah,
Lauren.
right.
Hell yeah, I know that problem.
So, yeah, I just don't know anything. So this was all new discovery for me. This was great, in that way that I.
Okay, cool. Now, what the my knowledge of Frankenstein is certainly the least of the like kind of classic horror story. And I also did not know a single thing about this telling. Like, I was not sure if he was going to deviate from the story or is this just a faithful retelling. I hadn't seen a single trailer, so for me, I didn't know where it's going.
Sorry, yeah. I was going to interrupt you to basically say the exact same thing well, what I do know is I heard this was supposed to be a somewhat faithful retelling, especially because of how much Guillermo del Toro has talked about how like Frankenstein is his Bible, basically. Like he is that attached to the story. So I thought it would be way more faithful, but apparently it's not. It's quite a bit different.
I would say the ways that it is faithful, I think, are okay. It's really stupid to say the ways that it is faithful. It is like no shit. I'd say is more like the ways in which it are faithful are the most important parts of the story. Like I don't want to get too far ahead, but like the sequence where he's watching and learns how to talk and gets by living in that house with that family that lived there. Those both happen in the book, but the way it unfolds are complete opposites. And in the movie makes it a much more sympathetic, sad, like even sadder than what happens in the book, which is a lot more. The people are just straight up awful.
I'm sure they are.
So, and like the Mia Goth's character feels a lot more involved than in the original story, if I remember it correctly. But I think like the heart of the story, and I think like this is what I guess almost the way this movie unfolds is what Guillermo del Toro took away. Like that's what he like when he thinks of this movie, like that story. This is how it plays in his head. And I think for the most part, it's pretty accurate, especially when you consider every other adaptation is so far off base. This one to me feels like it's carrying the author's like heart and soul in the actual story instead of it being like, let's make this a really cool movie first and foremost. Try to like, the old ones are much more just trying to make money. This one definitely.
Yeah. From what he like Frankenstein, first of all, it's Frankenstein's monster. Anyone who's like halfway intelligent knows that. But all the old movies made it seem like the monster himself was named Frankenstein. So they were just monster movies where Frankenstein is this kind of like lumbering monster that ends up being kind of a softie. Is that right? Is that how all the stories used to portray
it? The old ones kind of are, the idea is that he's stupid, which is like, they make a very interesting point very early to point out just like, hey, just because you can't communicate with it doesn't mean it's stupid. And like, I think that was kind of a big point of it, but the movies always depict him as like, almost like a mummy in levels of intelligence. Just like a mindless, like, moving forward. And,
yeah. He always has his hands
up.
He's
scared of fire.
Oh, he is. That's right. He's scared of fire in the older movies. He's not like that in this one.
Yeah. And like, it ends with, like, the moral of those stories is like, oh, he was actually a softie and we were the bad guys. But they don't, it plays it kind of like an after-school special a little bit and is... it's not very nuanced. And, like, Dr. Frankenstein is not depicted nearly as... troublesome as he is in this movie, which I think that's one of the things I really loved. As someone who didn't know where it was going, when they show it opens up with like part 1, Dr. Frankenstein or whatever. It's like, so you knew there'd be a part 2, but I do love that like segue, and that is actually what happens in the book. Is it is a story of Frankenstein and then Frankenstein's monster, both telling kind of the story from their perspective to this kind of third party. So that's why I also was like, this movie is pretty accurate to the novel, from my understanding.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Very thoughtful. I appreciate it.
Well, whatever. Yeah, I think, when this started, Lauren, of course, every little thing that's different from the book, she go, and at one point I wanted to be like, Lauren, just let the fucking movie play. But I think in the books, from what Lauren mentioned, his family life is a lot better. He loves his mom and his dad. He's very involved. He has a sister in the book. It's an adopted sister who he then ends up marrying, which I believe is the Elizabeth character in this one, which they, spoiler alert, don't end up getting married in this one. So all of the whole family dynamic is quite different. But
yes,
you see very quickly why it was they portray Victor's dad the way they do in this one. Of course, in this one, his dad is like stern military guy. He kind of is a little bit abusive.
Doesn't care emotionally about the family.
Not at all. So, and then throughout the movie as well, Victor himself is spoiler, the monster. Not literally, and not an actual spoiler. But he is, he's told at one point, you are the monster, not Frankenstein. Or not your monster, you are the monster. And it makes a lot of sense. From a movie perspective, it felt really good to, first you root for Victor in his chapter.
Yeah.
But then by the end of it, you realize, oh no, he is pretty monstrous. So then it switches and you end up rooting for Frankenstein. So the structure of the movie was well done in a way where you're rooting for the right people throughout the film.
What I really like, I think what it does is actually is a good reflection on Frankenstein's monster itself, in that think about how often that people are reacting to him instantly with violence, that their knee-jerk reaction, because they think he's done something horrible, but if they just let him say his piece, you'd be like, oh, okay, that's totally different. And when you think about when Victor, the doctor, is telling his story, like at first it's like, oh yeah, this monster, like it starts off where you're on his side for almost all of it, but like as more people come in and start telling their sides of it, you see the full picture, and it's just like he does not come off looking as good, which I think is kind of like a lines up with the creature by like, instead of, reacting to how it looks, if you just like looked at all the facts, waited till you had all the information, then made it a call, you would be in a better position instead of reacting emotionally right away.
Yeah.
That's obviously not a major theme as much as like, I just thought that was a cool little a parallel in the way the movie unfolds and the way a character is treated. I really liked this almost in like a Shakespearean tragedy kind of way of like, this felt like kind of like I mean, its source material is from the 1800s, so I guess it kind of makes sense, but it just feels like from another time.
Yeah.
In that, like, they don't make tragedies that kind of way anyway. Because, like, think about the creature's story truly is such a, like, Shakespearean tragedy.
Oh, totally.
He can't die, so he can't live. Like, it just, I don't know. I don't know why I brought that up. Probably just to ruin the flow of the conversation.
No,
mainly.
that I have a note specifically here. So I wanted to comment on two things. Number one is, this movie, like you said, it is a tragedy, but it's almost so tragic that I think I disassociated at some point, because like if I had full empathy for Frankenstein, like I'd kill myself by the end of this movie. He really is treated so horribly the whole time. It's like, if you were to really put yourself in his shoes, I mean, you wouldn't want to live either in real life or as the monster. So like, have I been calling him Frankenstein? Sorry.
The movie credits him as the creature.
I know he's the creature, the monster.
I feel like you almost want to call him Victor, and then the doctor Frankenstein.
Yeah, they make a point of that by the end. That
to me is how So if I say Victor, I'm talking about the monster. If I'm saying Frankenstein, I'm talking about the doctor.
Interesting. I'll probably just try to be more conscientious and call him the creature. I don't know if I actually did call him Frankenstein during the moments where I
have no clue. But, I think you've been. Your English teacher would approve.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. So I was sort of disassociating because I would have been crying every other scene with Frankenstein. See, I just did it.
All right, I took it back. You suck.
The Quito. Yeah. So I was. I had to sort of stonewall it a little bit to not let my emotions get too invested. But at the same time, also to what you were saying, it does feel like it's from a different time. It felt very theatrical. All the performances felt very old school, and that helped. And it was actually kind of easier to see this as a Greek tragedy or a play on stage. Even it was very much like a play.
It's the first time I've watched something where I think it finally clicked in this, like, the way the movie is being, the dialogue not being normal almost made it work better for me. It's the first time I consciously was like, oh, if they had taken this more of on a grounded approach, I think it would be way too much. Because you're right, heavy. I only cried I had tears a single time that whole movie. And I'll tell you when we get to that scene, and I'm curious if you could actually pinpoint it, but that is exactly, I'm glad that you agree with me, because I think it's hard to explain to someone who doesn't see it that way, but it does feel like the fact that it's a tragedy and like a stage play, you are able to feel bad without, like, well, this is obviously not, like, you're able to have like this one extra wall separation between this is really happening, and then, like, this is almost like someone telling the story of what happened. And they do start that off with, like, as see, I had it right. Frankenstein was telling his story where he says, everything I tell you happened, but it's not 100% true, which is like this, like, it sounds like a hand-wavy dialogue, but it kind of recontextualizes when they're doing the flashbacks, where maybe it's how the characters felt was happening rather than the literal dialogue.
Yeah, he says.
Well, then Elizabeth said.
He says, like, everything I'm telling you may not be a fact, but it is true. That's what he said. So yeah, it plays on the fact that this is going to be, it's going to be personal from each person's perspective,
and that lets it kind of maybe be overly saccharine with, like, the amount of emotion, and like how horrible Victor feels might be a reflection of just, like, that's how it seems worse, and maybe they didn't shoot him right away. Maybe they said something else in the reality that's not what he heard, and some of that can kind of be hand-waved away with that opening bizbot. But I'm glad you saw that too, because, like, I wasn't sure if that was just me trying to justify something, because, you know, I always kind of look for an excuse to keep my immersion correct and to like something more, but it sounds like that it seems like an intentional choice.
Yeah, so there's a couple tropes in this movie that I hate. Starting at the end, and then the whole rest of the movie is a flashback leading up to the fucking end of the movie, which is the beginning.
Oh, what is that called? It depends on in detective stories, I don't mind it as much, like when it's someone telling a case, or, you know, it depends, but I do know it is a big trope, so I get you.
I really don't like it. Now, this movie specifically,
In Media Res, that's what it is. In Media Res is the name of it. It's where you, like, start a story. It's when you start a story, like, in the middle of it, and then they go back to the beginning to tell you how they got to that point. In Media Res is like in the middle of, in Latin. So
regardless, I will never use that term again because I don't remember it already. You're
just proving that I'm the smarter one.
Yeah, I know I am. I do that pretty much every week. I don't like the trope, but I do get why they did it for this movie, because the way that the two players, Frankenstein and his monster, the way that they tell their stories, it makes sense that they are taking the time to tell their story, because when you watch the movie, it'll make sense, but if they were just narrating, which is the other thing I hate, by the way, is the narration, the narration over the duration of the entire movie. I hate narration, and I hate this flashback thing. But the way they're narrating and telling their stories if you think about it, if they didn't set the movie up this way, where they're telling their story to a person, which is how it is, it wouldn't really work. You'd be wondering, like, why are they talking like this? Why are they telling their story like this? But then it also makes me think, did they even need the narration or to be quote-unquote telling their story at all? Couldn't they have just been fucking doing the things and we watch it and see it? I don't
So what they could have done is then do a, like, 6 months or, like, 3 months earlier, flashed it back to when Victor escapes. Like, they could. I do think it is a trope, and, like, there might be a better way to solve that. I think it might be the easiest solution, or one that is common enough that might be annoying. I totally get that. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. The narration, I'm trying to think of how important the actual narration lines were.
They were fucking pointless. They were literally pointless. Every single fucking line that was narrated, you saw it happening. At one point, Frankenstein's monster, caught myself there. Frankenstein is a monster. He gets shot and killed like 4 times in this movie.
Yeah.
But he always gets revived because of whatever magical shit is inside him that heals. There was a point where he gets shot and killed and stands back up lumbering through the snow, and he's like, I didn't know how long I was dead, but my wounds had healed. He says that there are 2 different points in the movie where he comments on the fact that his wounds are healed while we're fucking watching him be alive because his wounds healed. It's so annoying. We're watching Frankenstein lumber through the snow and he's shivering, and guess what the voiceover is? I was cold. So cold. Like, I'm fucking watching you be cold. Shut up. God, it pisses me off.
The cynical part of me is this is a Netflix production.
I know, yeah. But
I mean, this is the first time that I think you saying that connected the dots. I'm like, well, why was the narration acting like it was I'm reading the novel? And I was like, maybe that's an intentional thing because it is a novel. It's like, no, it might be because Netflix does this, and there's that rumor that they want their productions to have narration, so when people are scrolling on their phones, they know what's happening without looking.
Oh my God. Kill me if that's real. But
that's just, if you want to be cynical.
Here's the other thing. The one defense for it is the narration exists because they are telling their story to a guy. That's the whole structure of the movie, is it opens up with Victor and his monster kind of fighting each other, and they stumble upon this boat in the fucking Antarctic, where this crew of soldiers is trying to get to the North Pole because that's the crazy fucking psycho shit they did back in the 1800s. They're like, let's just go up as far as we can. Oh, we're stuck in the ice. Well, we'll sacrifice 10 men trying to dig ourselves out so we can push forward 5 yards in the next day. Like, fucking crazy. So anyways, they're up in this Antarctic, or is it Antarctic South? I think there's the Arctic and the Antarctic. I think Antarctic is south, the Arctic is the north. Anyways, I'm really dumb. I don't know stuff. So they're in the Arctic. They come across this boat. Victor and his monster are fighting. They save Victor, and they bring him into the boat. This is when his monster first makes an appearance, and he's like throwing guys around, snapping them in half, ripping their jaws off. Like, he's going fucking ballistic, just murdering these dudes, trying to get to Victor. And he's screaming, bring him to me, or whatever he says. Give me, deliver him to me, bring me to him, whatever. And so they kind of like shoot off the monster, and he runs away, and then the movie starts. This is the first kind of 5 minutes. And Victor is in the captain's quarters with the captain who's kind of protecting him. And Victor goes, I will tell you my story of what this monster is and why we're here. And then it goes flashback to the beginning. And it's Victor, going through his childhood a little bit. His parents die eventually. Then he's an adult. He's fucking with reanimation. Then he meets Christoph Waltz. And Christoph Waltz funds him to get all of the tech that he needs to create the monster. That's kind of his story. So the narration, bring us back to that, is because they are technically telling their story to a guy. So maybe the reality is it is more like a book where you're reading the words and then you're having to imagine in your head what the words are representing. So in this case, it's like the words are being spoken to this captain and the visuals are what the captain is thinking about in his head. The visuals are the companion piece to the actual narration, which is what's really happening. That's the structure. You know what I'm saying? That's the only defense I can give it. But as a movie, I just think it works so much less effectively when there's stupid narration.
I agree. I don't give him a pass on that because you don't need how do I word this? Knowing that this is a story being told doesn't explain why you would choose to have those words be told to the audience, because you could imply that as being, you don't need to tell us that these are stories being told. We know that they set that up, and so the things that are being narrated don't do anything except remind you that this is a story being told. But do you need to be reminded of that? They already cut back to Frankenstein and the captain enough that like you are reminded that these are flashbacks. So to pull you really is like I reject your defense of this, and I think it's just bad writing.
Noted. Defense rejected. I have written that down. Alrighty, moving on.
But that's my problem with the narration is that they don't give any interesting insights into, like, the characters always say what you think that they are thinking in that moment. There isn't some interesting revelation. It is just a narration that would be in a novel or in the script almost to let you know, to envision it in your mind, to recreate it. And so, like, to me, it feels like a 2020s mark more than a, is this helpful for the film?
Yeah. And it's sad because, you know, this is a Guillermo del Toro movie, huge production. We'll get to the positives here soon enough. You might be wondering how we gave it a 6 or a 7 out of 10. The rest of the movie makes up for it, trust me.
Yeah.
You know, you would think that someone like Guillermo would have enough creative control over something like this where Netflix would go, this is fucking Guillermo, just let him do what he wants. It's going to be a hit. It's going to be a big release on Netflix. Just let him do what he does because he's such a name. And I imagine this was mostly him. I don't know that Netflix would have pushed Guillermo to add narration in his movie, but I also don't know how it works behind the scenes. It's possible they had enough influence where Guillermo was like, I think I could tell the story I want while narrating. That's fine. And he just did it. I don't know.
I will agree that I could be a little cynical on it. I just didn't like the narration.
No, me neither.
And at the end of the day, to me, like, that's the real problems. You're right. There is a justification as to why we're hearing it. For me, at the end of the day, I just feel like it doesn't help. It feels like, you know, the thing that you always hate. It feels like the movie maker talking to the audience to make sure that they're coming along. Oh, I just didn't want you to fall behind.
Right.
You know, that kind of, like, that would, to me, that was for me in this movie is the first time I really felt that kind of overreach. It's just like, this feels weird. Like, why are you doing this? I turned this game on hard mode, I thought, not easy. I'm not on story difficulty when I watched this movie, okay? I didn't have subtitles on.
There's just, like, specifically, I'm going to harp on this one more time. Frankenstein's monster says, I'll just call him the creature. Let's fucking get the creature, Kyle. The creature. His name is the creature. His name is It. Did you know? They call him It. That is his name. The creature says the same line 2 times in 2 separate instances. He says, "My wounds healed," multiple times. Like, that's the thing I don't get.
I remember getting almost like, I did a double take because I'm like, he repeated a line, right? Like, it's not just like I watched this by myself, so I didn't have anyone to double check. So I'm glad it was.
No, it's 2 separate instances. There, at one point, he gets hurt and he says, "After my wounds healed," blah, 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 and he continues narrating. Then 2 or 3 scenes later, he gets fucking shot again because people are crazy and always want to kill him. And he wakes up from being dead and goes, "After my wounds healed." Like, what? We're watching your wounds healed and you're telling us multiple times your wounds healed? Shut up. Oh my God. It was driving me crazy.
Oh, wow. Damn. Okay.
Now, luckily, there actually, maybe because I tuned it out, I don't know, but I want to say there wasn't actually that much narration. I think
There was not a lot. That's why I'm not getting particularly heated on it, because
but it stuck
wasn't
in my
that
head.
much.
It was like frustrating enough for me to make note of it and go like, stop, please. But whatever. Alas, that's just how the movie is. Really didn't like that shit. So the good. I think that's about all I have to say negatively. Is the narration, the structure of the movie.
Mia Goth's performance is my only other negative.
Oh, you didn't like it?
I thought it was very.
It was pretty flat.
Too theatrical.
Oh,
it was
okay.
too wooden.
We said
that one.
We said the opposite. I said flat, and you said theatrical.
Well, I say like in that I shouldn't say theatrical, because that does, you're right, imply, like, to me it was more like theater kid, like someone trying, like, but not like they were trying to remember their lines, but they weren't emoting them. I like, she was telling me what the feeling she was having, and I wasn't like seeing it. I don't know. I didn't like her in that performance. I just didn't. The character, like, I was like, oh, they're in love. I thought they had a maternal relationship, not a romantic.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't.
So that's something else
until. Yeah, that was so. That's why I was kind of more negative on it. Is that, like, I just thought that was what was supposed to be happening, but the implication that they were in love was like, what the fuck are you talking? What? Huh?
Yeah, so that happens in the latter half of the movie when Frankenstein is telling his version of events, which I don't know. Maybe we can just talk about. We're 30 minutes in. I think the structure of the movie is gone. We'll just talk about the shit that comes to mind. There is a potentially implied love story between Frankenstein's monster, the creature, Jesus Christ, the creature, and Elizabeth, who is played by Mia Goth, who is supposed to be the wife of Victor's brother. So the relationship is Victor has a little brother, William. William is getting married to this woman named Elizabeth, and Elizabeth's uncle is Christoph Waltz, who is super wealthy and is providing the funding to Victor. So that's how everything's kind of connected. Early on in the movie,
and the reason why he gives the money, and I do say his character isn't in a lot of the movie.
No, he's pretty small.
And like, I do kind of like that it felt like they thought his reason why he interacted, like, everything kind of was very tightly written. I really liked his, and like when he showed up and like I will say he got the resolution. It kind of didn't matter like at all, but I thought his character at least was, I liked him.
Yeah, his
kind of antagonistic-y, but not really. I don't know. It was just, he seemed like a guy, you know?
He was a good dude who was a bit self-serving in the end. Yeah, it turns out that that dude, the dude in the black hairpiece, that was Christoph Waltz.
Oh, the whole
the
whole
whole
that
time.
wasn't the twist, Kyle.
Yeah.
No, that's not the twist, Kyle.
Oh, what is it?
I know the reference.
Yeah. No, that was funny because his hair stood out to me immediately. He has this jet black hair that just looks so off on this guy who's like clearly 60 years old. Turns out it was indeed a hairpiece, even within the movie. He has syphilis, and his hair is falling out, and he's going to die really soon. And so the self-serving part of him isn't, he portrays himself as like, I want to help you, Victor, because you're going to do great things, and I want to be part of this thing that you're going to do that's going to change history. Turns out he's dying, so he actually wants Victor to reanimate him into Frankenstein, his creature's body. And
yeah, he wanted to be the brain that's inside the amog
in the creature,
all those parts assembled.
Yeah, so ends up not happening. But...
See, because this is the only part that I thought the story was a little convenient in that they have a scuffle, nothing really happens except that the dude dies, but there were no major consequences. Like,
yeah, there's a fucking Chekhov's hole in this tower that Victor is in, that he ends up setting up in to reanimate Frankenstein. There's this gigantic fucking hole that goes from the top of the tower to the bottom, and you're like, okay, somebody has to fall down that fucking hole at some point, and that is what happens.
Bless you, Chekhov.
Yeah, Victor and fucking, what is his name? Christoph Henry?
I actually don't know.
I think it's Henry.
I would Hans Gruber.
No, that's his last name. No, it's Waltz. His name is Henrik Harlander, and I believe they call him Henry. But either way, he wants to be put in Frankenstein's monster, the creature. Oh my god, this is so exhausting that I can't remember to say
I
the
don't
creature.
know why you make it exhausting every time you pause.
I know, because I'm pissed off.
Just call him Victor.
No.
It's just a dude's name.
They end up getting in a fight because Henry wants to be in the creature and Victor says no, and they kind of scuffle and he drops down the hole and falls on his back and his fucking brain, his head cracks open in the back behind. And his brains all fall out. It's kind of a funny scene actually because Victor goes down there to see if he's okay and he like picks him up a little bit and then he realizes the back of his head is caved in and so he just like drops him exasperated like, oh my fucking god. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So, what was the point of us talking about that? Just to the resolution of that?
I thought him dying doesn't end up mattering.
No, not
like,
at all.
There are no real consequences. That death didn't. Outside, I guess the death is supposed to push forward the family falling apart, but he doesn't really get confronted on it in any particular way that I'm aware of, other than that, like, they think Henrik is missing until both the Elizabeth and her husband die. So, like, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, wait.
Do
they actually address that? Because I remember Victor saying, because William... So Victor concocts this idea. Once William realizes that... William... Whatever. Victor basically says the creature, in a fit of rage, killed... your uncle-in-law killed Henry. He like bashed his head in.
That's why I had him locked down.
Yeah, that's why I had him locked in the basement. It's a convenient way to, which I was like, oh, that's nice, but further pushing Victor into being the true monster because he's just blaming everything on this creature when he's really the piece of shit. So then Victor says to William, like, keep Elizabeth in the dark. Don't tell her. Just say that he's missing. And then nothing ever happens. Victor's story ends. Then it picks up at the creature's half. And later in the movie, do they mention again what happened to?
I think
Henrik?
Now this is for when Jonathan and his dying breath. I think his brother's name was John.
No, it's
right?
William.
William's dying breath. He it was basically says like, I was always scared of you, and like there's that implication that the brother never believed him. So that to me felt like more of it wasn't as, maybe it was supposed to be more biting than it was, but like I couldn't tell how Victor or Frankenstein felt about that line being delivered in any particular way. But all I'm saying is it wasn't as hard for Frankenstein to like get out of that problem that normally, I murdered a very close family member would cause a lot of
it was an accident. He
cover
didn't
up.
murder him. It really was an accident.
Yes, true, but like it is in a legal sense, it was his fault because they had a fight. Like legally, he could be held responsible, right? If you wanted to be legitimate.
Maybe Henrik was blackmailing him, like, I'm going to destroy this vital piece of gear that you need. He was going to drop it in the hole to so it'll fall down and just get destroyed. And Victor was like, don't do that. And then they kind of scuffle, and then Henrik slips and falls in the hole. So it's like, I don't know. Victor barely did anything to warrant that death. True. But it's like it happened in the craze of this. He could just look like a madman scientist, and people probably wouldn't believe him, although with the creature, it is a convenient get-out-of-jail-free card. But Victor, to end his half of the story, he ends up setting the whole fucking mansion on fire, his whole workplace, with the creature locked up in the basement. He's trying to burn down the building, kill the creature, get rid of the whole thing, turn it to ash. And then the creature, of course, ends up escaping, and then that's how his story starts. Which, here was another little tidbit that was not clear whatsoever to me. So the creature ends up, sliding down basically a sewer grate kind of thing into the water down below on the outside of this cliff, because this tower is on a cliffside, and he ends up sliding down this sluice way into the ocean. Then he washes up ashore, and he wakes up, and he's like, coughing up some water and looks around, and then he just like wanders into the forest, and then he's feeding a deer, and when he's feeding the deer gets shot in the face by a hunter, and then the creature turns around to see, and then they just shoot him immediately too. And I was like, what the he looks like a person from far away. You're just gonna shoot somebody? And then later they have convenient lines where the guys are like, it was a monster. We've never seen anything like it. But it's like, he looks like a dude for the most part. It's like a guy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I that's fair. You're right that they kind of don't get a good look at him, and it would be from his back, with a cloak on.
Yeah, and he's like feeding a deer, and they shoot the deer in the face, and then when he turns around to look at him, they shoot him.
Wait, no, Kyle, he did not have a cloak. They just see his back, and his back is clearly stitched together, like different body
he has a cloak on. He has a cloak.
Why would he? From what?
He finds that little like pile of corpses, or it's like
You're right. That's the very first thing when he wakes up. My only problem was that, like, how did he get to where he was? Because he wasn't washed up on shore. He was like in the middle of grass, wasn't he?
No, Lauren thought the same thing. It's like because of the big storm, he was in this kind of muddy, slightly watery area, and I think the implication is the water level rose from the storm, and by the time the storm went away and the water drained back out into the ocean, he was left on this like embankment he was like really far inland, which made it a little awkward, but they had a nice detail where if you were paying attention, you could see in the distance there was sort of like a flood line. You could see where there's no trees, it was really muddy and rocky, and then it kind of angled inward to the trees and became less muddy, and he was in the like flood line area. It's hard to describe.
That's what I figured.
Yeah,
I figured it was something like that, and I just didn't quite catch the right detail.
You have to kind of put that together because it's not super clear, but I was fine with the way
that
it
time
was.
They wouldn't narrate, but they'll narrate when their guy is healing.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, for the third time he's healing, or when he's feeling cold and you can see his breath and he's shivering. Yes, thank you so much for those words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so he gets...
I will say it was kind of like a nice thing where they kind of subtly made Frankenstein be more and more abusive to this life he creates, and it like starts to really reflect how his dad treated him growing up, and it like was kind of just a by the end of that segment when he goes to like blow up his house, like he's full in on like kind of being a not so great dude, and you're just like he like left his creation to die because he's like, say a name other than my name, because he would just say Victor over and over and over, and he says. Then the monster clearly says Elizabeth, and he's just like, well, it's too late. I already committed. I'm going to kill it anyway.
Yeah, he does kind of stop and turn around and look at him, and they share this glance, and then he's like, fuck it. I'll just burn him down anyway.
I mean, he injures himself because at the very last second, he's like, oh no, I left my boy inside. I need to go rescue him.
Because the creature is screaming out his name, Victor, and the acting is great, by the way. We haven't talked about the acting other than Mia Goth's being pretty flat, but... yeah, I mean, Jacob Elordi did a phenomenal job. Very reminiscent of Bill Skarsgård's Nosferatu. He kind of disappears.
Yeah, I actually didn't... I have never heard of this actor. I don't even know who this is.
Oh, really?
If he's done anything else.
Yeah, he's like the hottest new hot guy other than like Austin Butler, basically, or Timothy Chalamet. He's like on the rise, kind of in the same trajectory as them.
Oh, well. I can see why.
He did a World War II show called The Narrow Road to the Deep North, and it is staggering and so beautiful and moving. It is a phenomenal show. I highly recommend it for anybody out there.
Too bad it's a war. Yeah, too bad it's a World War II thing, so it's like, automatically bad.
No, it's not. It's not about war. He is a POW, and he is forced with this camp of, like 100 other men to dig through the mountain, basically to send a railroad north. And this is real. I believe this really happened. All these POWs were gathered, and they were forced to do slave labor to build a railroad. And that's what it's about. So it's about the bonding of these guys as POWs. There's not really any action at all. War action, typical stuff. It's quite different. But anyways, Jacob Elordi's Frankenstein was amazing. Very reminiscent of Bill Skarsgård's Nosferatu. Even though I think Bill Skarsgård's Nosferatu was better. This was still very good. But to circle back to what we were talking about, which I don't even remember now.
Just that he was, we were talking about Dr. Frankenstein getting injured because you said that
Yeah, he was
Frankenstein
crying
was
out.
selling his pain so well.
Yeah, the creature was crying out in a very emotional way, and he conveyed quite a lot, even though he was only saying the word Victor for his entire half of the first half of the movie. It was very good.
I was impressed by it, and it was really sad how Dr. Frankenstein was treating his creation. It really just
it was awful.
made me sick to my stomach. He refused to call it a him, always referring it to it, dehumanizing it.
Yeah.
As Elizabeth has an encounter with him, where she sneaks off late one night to have a conversation with him down there, and she kind of. She realizes how intelligent it is and knows that it wants to speak more, but it just doesn't know how. And I think there's a lot of really cool moments of really humanizing things that are not obviously understood by you. Just because it can't communicate the way you understand, it doesn't mean it's dumb. It's such a transcendent to this story, and I thought that was those moments that's what I love about this movie, are how they treat this fucking freak show of a being that isn't even a new thing, because it's a parts of other people and someone else's brain, and it's when he makes a line about having to find himself, what does that mean when you're 9 other people's parts, which is kind of a metaphor for literal all of us. We're all kind of sewn together other people's body parts, in a lot of ways, if you think about it on a genetic level. And I don't know. That's the stuff that I think really works for me. That makes me think. It makes me reflect on kind of also generational trauma. And even when you think you've done better, it's no, you're just doing the same thing again. I don't know. There's a lot of cool moments, and I think that really highlighted with Elizabeth and the creature, but they don't get that much time together. So by the time that they kind of cross paths again, they were in love with each other, which I was that's a little bit of a stretch. They do really sell that Elizabeth is into the morose, and the death is kind of alluring to her, and that's why Victor, the doctor, gets so infatuated with her, because she's also kind of interested in death, but the way that they differ is resembles in the creature, where it's what's the point of staving off death if you treat life so horribly, and those are the two opposite philosophies of how to why would you fight off death if you're just going to be so cruel to life? What are you even doing? And I think that's the stuff that's really cool. It makes me yeah, Del Toro knows what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah he does. I
just want to add some stuff before we get to the part 2, because that's all the best stuff of part 1.
Yeah, and it's very appropriate that she's an entomologist, right? Because, and this is something Lauren pointed out, is that her fascination with bugs. There's even a part in the movie where she's kind of messing. She has beetles on the ground that are alive, and she's got a beetle crawling on her hand, and she's kind of looking at it, and she has a bunch of books about insects, so she wants to be an entomologist, I think, and. What most people, bugs are icky. You stomp them, you kill them, you get them away from you. But she loves them and is fascinated by them, and is very interested in their existence and how they operate. And it's, very, very obvious parallels between that and the monster, the creature. So there's a reason for that. And it's almost so here's the thing. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room. And let's just
stop talking around it.
Yeah, that is that Elizabeth and the creature might be in love, which isn't even super clear. I almost could say that they're just kindred spirits and not necessarily in love, although there is some dialogue mentioning the word love, and what Mia Goth says as she's dying, which she dies because okay, so this is another thing that wasn't clear. The creature lost all his memory. He kind of has amnesia when he wakes up, which is not clear whatsoever. He ends up getting shot by these fucking guys. He goes to this house. In this house, there's this blind old man who's very sweet and is affectionate towards his granddaughter, and Victor is imitating the head patting that he does, and is realizing oh, I just needed a father figure, not this abusive master that Victor was. The creature just needed to be taught. That's all he needed. And Victor was incapable of that. He just wanted him to be intelligent or wanted him to be this thing that he wasn't immediately. Like, he didn't treat the creature as a newborn. Like, he literally was.
You know what the irony is? He treated his son the way his dad treated him, where he just wanted a miniature, or a little soldier right off the bat. And like, unless he was doing exactly as he was told, he did not like him. That's exactly what Victor was to the monster.
Yeah, you mentioned it before, just sort of like generational abuse that like, you know, do unto your son what your father does to you.
And he swore to be the exact opposite of his father when he's retelling that story. He just like, you know, he thinks to the moment that he's like, I'm not going to be like my dad. I remember the exact moment, and to be the exact same person is very funny.
Yeah. So the creature ends up at this house, and ironically, it's the dudes who fucking shot him and tried to kill him before, and now he's kind of like hiding in their, I don't know what it is. It's this like little, they said the words for it.
It's like a mill.
Yeah, a mill. That's what, he's hiding in the mill while this family lives their life in the house, and the mill is connected to the house. He's like peeping on them through the wood slats in this little hole in the wall. And eventually the guys are like, their farm gets attacked by wolves. And the guys with the wife and the granddaughter all are like, we're going to go up north and stay with, you know, the wife's parents while we go hunt these wolves so they don't come back and kill our land. And then the old man's like, well, I'll stay here and pray for you like I always do. And the old man is hip to the creature kind of being there. He knows, because the creature keeps doing things for them. Like, he fixes stuff in the middle of the night. Like, he makes makes their fence stronger.
Love a fence.
He did another thing that was nice, that they end up thanking the forest spirit, which is actually just the creature. So
yeah,
now that the family's gone, the creature decides to introduce himself to this old man, and he kind of says like, "Oh, I'm just a traveler." And the old man is like, "Well, come on in. You know, I'm blind and old. I can't do anything. Just sit down and have a drink." And they end up bonding and becoming friends, which is a very important word. And the old man is very sweet and is teaching the creature things. Apparently teaches him how to read, which is I don't know when the creature would have learned how to read, but during his narration, he's like, I read a lot of books and they were good books. And he's reading about Prometheus, but
is that when he's hiding before he meets the old man, that the old man was having the girl learn to read by being like, what letter is this? That's A. And like the implication is obviously that the creature is insanely intelligent, so it would be very easy for him to learn to read.
The old man is not teaching the girl how to read. He's teaching the girl
learning
body parts. No, he holds up a thing and is like, what is this? And the girl says, a boy. And then he turns it to the other side and she says, a boy. And then he holds up another card and he goes, what is this? And she goes, an eye, meaning eyeball. And
sure, but I guess I'm saying is that if you think of this guy as an ultra intelligent person, that might be all you need for those foundational blocks. Because the implication is like the Hulk, in all intents and purposes, right? Like infinite strength, infinite knowledge. It's just they had to like be patient and like explain things, because it's not as much about intelligent level as much as it is about the emotional intelligence. That's what he needed, and Victor, the doctor, doesn't have. So that's my headcanon as to why he's able to pick up how to read so quickly.
Yeah, he is a creature, and he is but yeah, he is, I guess, the best of everything. He is very smart. He's very strong. His strength is displayed in many ways. Like, he snaps a fucking wolf in half. He rips a guy's jaw off with zero effort. And then later in the movie, he rocks an entire fucking boat that's trapped in the ice, which, that was something to me that I was like, okay, he's a bit too much of a superhero. His strength is like super high variance.
It's as as the plot needs it to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that boat, are you fucking kidding me? That he's rocking. This isn't a little fucking rowboat. This is a boat that they were using to go north.
A cargo ship kind of shit.
Yeah, like, this was a fucking ship, a huge ship, and he rocks it in the water, and he almost tips it over to try to get to Victor when they, like, haul him up there and then pull up the ladder. Which, by the way, the creature could have just jumped up there if he's that strong. He didn't need a ladder to climb up on the boat.
See, but In the movie's defense, it's because he is not an aggressor. He's not. He could, but he only kills people who attack him first or are part of a group that attacked him. That's like something that I think was really consistent throughout the movies, that he never kills anyone first. He's always in defense. And he's always reacting to being attacked first. In the same way of like, he could have just jumped the boat, killed everybody, and killed Victor if he wanted, right? Yeah. But he's a terrorist, right? Like, he wants to be let in. He's not going to kill people he doesn't have to. And I think that, so to answer it, you're right. He could have jumped up there, but I think he is like, the movie's kind of consistent for that. But moving the boat out of the ice the way he does, you're right. That is pure fantasy.
Yeah, it's like silly levels of strength.
Yeah, in a way that like that means he couldn't hug. Like just like the amount of that thing is like thousands of tons. Like there's no way. Like it's even I don't care about this stuff. You know me, and I'm on your side with it. You know it's a little too far.
It was just that, and the thing is, the rest of the movie was very consistent with his display of strength, but that specific feat of rocking a fucking ship in the ocean that's trapped in ice, like, that's just so beyond far-fetched that somebody could do that. And then also, another stupid thing, right in the beginning, when he is rocking their boat trying to get them to deliver Victor, one of them shoots the ice below the creature's feet. And of course, it starts cracking, and then it pops, and then he falls into the water, and they think they've killed the creature. You're telling me they could have just shot the ice, and it all just evaporates and explodes? Like, how are they even stuck in the ice? Just shoot your fucking guns at the ice, because it's magical bullets that destroy ice. Like, it was so weird.
But you know, something I will say is I actually appreciated about the guns in this movie is that every single goddamn bullet felt like it was a gun that actually had impact. There were no shots, except the one that, of course, that hit Elizabeth. That one was kind of like, but that was more of a hand pistol, so that actually is excusable. But all the rifles, like, it always is knocking someone down or slowing someone down. Like, every bullet felt so strong. It's just like, damn. I don't know. I had something I kind of noticed in this movie is like, there's so many movies where there's guns that they all feel the same or like whatever.
Yeah,
these ones, like,
that plays into, we'll talk about this, the set design. You know, it's a Guillermo del Toro movie. It's literally top of the line. You can't find a movie that has cooler set pieces than this one. Like, they're just fucking amazing. It's so incredible. The world building he does without just with the set pieces, the world building he does is remarkable. It's top of the line, top of the class. All of the acting performances were very good. Of course, except Mia Goth was just okay, but I almost don't know if that was her fault. Her character was just kind of didn't have much to do.
Yeah, and like I wouldn't even say it was bad. It was like
girl.
She's surrounded by people who I thought were really good, so it just stood out more.
Costuming, holy cow. The clothing in this was so great. It was just every single detail was intentional and taken care of and done to the highest quality. It was just a beautifully shot movie. Great to look at, really fun world to be in. It was just really, really, really good. But yeah, as we break down the nuance, it sounds like we're complaining a lot for a movie we're giving a 6 or 7 out of 10. But I
will say I'm trying to keep the positivity on track. You derail me with the bad stuff. All right.
That's on it's just human nature. It's easier to note the bad things than the good things. Outside of this stuff, it is good, and it's a heartfelt story. There are quite a few emotional beats. You really care for a lot of the characters, and you understand them, and it's well done.
So, Kyle, where did I cry in this story? It was during the flashback sequences.
It was probably when the old man dies.
Nope.
Okay.
Before then, but you were close. It is when the old man calls him a friend and gives him a hug. The way the creature reacts to it is so, like, I spent a lot of time around my nieces as they're growing up and seeing them like react to stuff for the first time, and like that he pulled this like deep level of, I did like this unprepared for emotional wave of like just how overwhelming it was like I felt that in that moment in a way that like it actually brought me to tears Because like all he did was say pat him on the head and said, "Yeah, of course you're my friend." Like it's just something so simple, and that's all the creature wants is just not even to be treated humanely, just to be treated humanely. That's it, nothing else. And it's just I don't know, broke my heart. It was just so well shot and done. The music and the acting was so incredible.
Oh, yeah, the score in this movie is so good too. Yeah, no, that part was yes. I remember that part. Jacob, see, this is Jacob Elordi's performance. It's fun. It was really, really good and nuanced for he plays this creature in a way, right? Obviously this creature, it is a newborn babe and it's learning, but it's learning at an accelerated rate. And yeah, all this creature has experienced for the most part is abuse and pain, and the embrace that he gives this old man, it just felt so honest and real. Like he was so desperate for just the slightest bit of kindness. And this old man just, was like, yeah, of course you're let's be friends. I want you to be my friend. You've helped us. You're basically the spirit of the woods. Like, yeah, like welcome. And pats him on the head, and the embrace that the creature gives him, it just felt so real. And it felt desperate and like, oh my God, this is what human warmth and connection feels like. Yeah, it was very honest. Great.
And up to that point, it had been nothing but tragedy after tragedy. So it was a nice
and torment and hatred and fear. And except Elizabeth, of course, was very sweet to him. And when she first found him in Victor's basement, she was like, she said, "I'm Elizabeth," and put the creature's hand on her face and was like, "Yes, me, I am Elizabeth." And yeah, it was weird. I didn't know what to make of that. And then as we said later, it's sort of like maybe they're in love, but they don't ever kiss or anything. What ends up happening is the creature in his half of the movie ends up hunting down Victor, finds Victor, and is like just beating the shit out of him in his room, which is happening during this wedding. So they hear this commotion upstairs and people come running up and they see in the room Victor is being thrown around and the creature is Elizabeth is trying to protect the creature because Victor picks up a gun to shoot the creature, which again, why is anybody trying to shoot this thing? Everyone shoots him a million times and nothing ever happens.
Well, to be fair to the movie, I don't know if any of these people have almost everyone who shoots the creature, the next people who shoot him are a different set of people. So it's just like, because like none of those people have shot him before. They don't, obviously, they thought he died in the fire, but like, he doesn't know necessarily it's because he slid out through the belt, So in that scene, at least, that makes.
Yeah, okay. So he's trying to shoot the monster, and then Elizabeth screams and jumps in front of him, and Frankenstein ends up shooting Elizabeth instead. And Elizabeth is kind of, of course, the creature catches her, and she's dying in his arms, and she's like, "Take me with you." And so he just walks out of this house. Just through everybody, and they're all like, "Oh my God," just standing there like dopes as he walks out with a dead fucking woman in his arms, or dying, I should say. Some of these scenes were pretty odd to me, just how stunned
once again,
well, yeah, go ahead.
It throws back to kind of Shakespearean, like that is the drama of a stage, like the entire room kind of like, and the other thing is they also know that the fiance dies too, because like the first one to show up in the room is Frankenstein's brother, but he charges at Frankenstein. Frankenstein moves him, the monster. Let me be consistent like you are.
Yeah.
The
creature.
William charges at the monster, the creature, and gets shoved away and splatters his William's head in the back of some kind of marble.
Yeah, he hits his head on the corner of a piece of wood.
And then what ends up happening, like he has a final conversation with his brother and doesn't even for a second spend a time saying like this creature is a mistake. The whole time he's like, you are a monster. You were always terrifying. Everything that bad has happened, it is because of you, and you brought it to me.
William is saying this to Victor
then he dies.
Yeah, William is saying this to Victor as he dies. He is saying, yeah, I was always scared of you growing up. He says the conflagration that burned through our whole family was always you. And his final words are, "You are the monster," and then he dies.
Yeah, he doesn't spend a single second talking about the creature, and I just think that's such a powerful thing, but that sets kind of Frankenstein off to more or less be like Van Helsing in a way. Of like, all right, time to hunt this guy to the ends of the earth.
Turns into a monster hunter. So yeah, then
then that's where the storylines kind of converge. They more or less the Frankenstein is hunting the monster across the country because he's killed his entire family for all intents and purposes, right? His brother and his future sister-in-law. So that's when then they have the brawl like on the ice, and that's where the ice captain comes in, and so that we have now connected up the two squads.
Yeah. Yep, this is where the stories converge. And so this whole time, Frankenstein, maybe we didn't make it clear, but Frankenstein has been telling his story because basically he brute forces his way onto the boat, and nobody can kill him or do anything to him. And so he like comes into the room and he's about to kill the captain. And the captain is like, yes, prove that you are everything that your creator said you were. And the creature's like, oh, he told you his story, huh? Then let me tell you mine. And then that's when the second half of the movie comes in, and that's when we hear the creature's
will also
version.
Highlight as well is the captain is established in the like prologue as like a complete fucking asshole. Like, fuck with the men. Are you guys questioning me? Don't ever fucking question me.
Yeah.
So that's the type of dude he is. So then when he hears the story from the monster's point of view and the type of person he was before then and then after, it is even more so tried to color of like how
there's
awful.
There's even character development with the captain, right? Yeah, he starts off where there's an underling that's like, we're dying out here and we're running out of energy. We need to rest. And he's like, no, home. We signed up for this mission and we're gonna do it. So get to work. And yeah, he's an asshole. But by the end, when the creature releases them from their icy demise, he goes, all right, guys, turn the boat around. We're going home. And everyone's like, yay.
So the last thing I think we didn't actually, the last thing I wanted to talk about, even if it's not to summarize it, was that at the end of the day, what the monster learned from staying with the old man was like, I just need a companion. I just need someone to live if I can't die, because that's what he learns is I'm immortal no matter what happens. The way that Frankenstein figured out that he got like infinite life, he figured out the curse of mortality. So eventually that's why he's hunting down, because for all intents and purposes the old man teaches the creature to like just move on with your life. The best way to take revenge on Frankenstein is to live, like to in spite of him trying to kill you.
So that's the creature he basically says like, I can't die, but I also can't live because I'm this horrendous monster. I don't even know what I am. People treat me with nothing but fear and hostility. He's like, how am I supposed to live this life? But I also can't even fucking end it and die. So it really is just a horrible tragedy. He's stuck in purgatory on Earth, basically. It's like
I think it was an interesting choice for the movie to make, is that in one of the times that Frankenstein and the monster catch up, he's like, oh, you think you think you're just gonna blow me up this way? Okay, I hope you can do it. And he like breaks his other leg, so he's crippled on both legs. Yeah. And is like, okay, Frankenstein, you can run away now, but I'm going to hold this dynamite. And he lights it and he lets it go off in his hand. And it just shows that his body, like his limbs aren't even separating. Like, so like the movie is more or less just saying it doesn't matter. You couldn't, the thing that you're thinking of that would blow him up, it just won't work. That's just the way it is.
There's
sucks.
Nothing you can
the logic is out the window, and that's fine. And to really sell that there is no escape for this creature. He cannot kill himself. He cannot drown himself because he's drowned in the water and then he wakes up and he swims back up. So like he doesn't need the air to breathe, clearly. And blowing him up doesn't do anything. So
he doesn't need to eat. At that point, he doesn't need air. Apparently he still needs to sleep. That's the one thing Frankenstein needs, because there's a few scenes where he's like waking up. So he still needs to sleep, but he does not need to eat, doesn't need air. I'm not really sure what the deal is, of course, but that's just
the movie more or less just tries to, instead of giving you the opportunity to be like, why didn't they try this? That I think is their version of the like, this is about as extreme as you can make it, and we're saying he would survive that. Yeah. So just let it go. And I think that's almost like a better way of handling it than just a character saying he's immortal. It's like, okay, I'm showing you this is as immortal as it gets, brother. This is supernatural.
Yeah.
And that Frankenstein laughs in the creature's face when he asks for a companion. And that's when the fighting starts. He's like, okay, then I'm just going to fucking hunt you for the rest of your life and make your life misery because that's all I have left. And that's what kind of starts off the chase across the country or whatever. I wanted to add that in as to like, that even more of a motivation that the monster just wants a way to have a life in some way instead of just not being able to die. And when it's more or less confirmed, like, I could never do this experiment again. And Frankenstein really lays into the monster about how much of an abomination he is and that he's a mistake and I would never do something like that unholy again. That's what kind of sets the creature off to be like, well, I'll just hunt you forever. And he makes a line at the very end of the movie that the only time you ever listen to me, Dad, is when I'm hurting you. Like, violence is what you respond to, and that's why I'm speaking. And that, to throw it back all the way to the beginning of the movie, is this idea that
that's what his father taught him.
Yeah, not only that, but like this idea that he was only speaking specific language, and like this idea that Frankenstein's creation has learned that he only responds to violence. So that's why the monster is only speaking in violence. The second that like everything crystallizes in Dr. Frankenstein and on his deathbed, obviously, he has his revelation about what he should have been. The monster was like, I forgive you. Like, he was always ready to have the intelligent conversation, but he was never being met with that because he thinks he's a monster. And it's just like, fuck you, man. I love that stuff so much. It was just very... No, yeah, well, I do think it's very convenient to have his heart change at the last minute, but
the old man taught taught the creature that the old man mentions at some point, I murdered a good man a long time ago. I've been atoning for it ever since, and like all you can do in life is forgive and forget, and so that is instilled in the creature to forgive despite horrible circumstances. It's never going to.
Even if he had an infinite lifetime, I don't think the doctor could ever actually make up for all that. So at some point, you just... and I think that's a powerful message of someone who is wronged being... has the strength that the person who thinks in power... And I don't know, it kind of is one of those things, like, maybe you wanted some very violent end for that person, but, like, he lost everything, and, like, he got the end he deserved, right? He died among strangers, realizing how horrible of a person he was.
Yeah.
It in some ways is almost worse than, a lot of the violent ends. Like, this was just like, I don't know. And I don't know how I feel about the ending shot, like the last minute, or what it means on the grand scheme of things, but I saw some criticism about that the doctor had to change a heart too conveniently at the last minute, and I just think that's just a very human, like, you're at the end, you have nothing to lose, you can't be ashamed because you're about to die, like, you just kind of, all the human defense mechanisms, I think, can melt away in a moment. And, like, to make the movie work, I think it kind of needs to come to a fitting conclusion, and I don't know.
Yeah,
that's my thoughts.
You have to consider that we're watching the movie, but he did in real time, in theory, have to sit there and listen to the creature's story that could have taken,
holy shit, that's actually a really good point.
An hour
I hadn't
to
even
tell.
thought about that.
Yeah, because that was the whole thing, was like the creature was sitting in that cabin telling his side of the story. So yeah, there's two things where it's one, Victor is dying and he knows it. He's like coughing up blood right in the beginning of the movie after their little squabble, and his like legs are broken. He's been stabbed and bashed up. Like he's in a rough shape. And yeah, so number one, he is dying. That's usually when people come to these fucking conclusions. It's like, yeah, I guess I'm dead. Maybe I should just think about things a little differently. I'm dying here. And then the other one is, yeah, he had to sit there and listen to the creature tell his whole side of the story too. So I'm okay with how it ended. It makes sense that he would go, oh, yeah, I know. I hear you. I hear you, buddy. Okay. Yep.
They were loud and clear.
I was a piece of shit.
And then the ending is the monster frees the boat, and all the guys are going to go home instead of suffering and going to the North Pole. And the monster kind of just stands in the sunlight, which is a mirror to like the very first thing he experienced, was like hiding from the sun, like recoiling because he didn't know what it was. And like, that's a symbolic kind of like,
well, it was one of the first things Victor taught him. So the creature is scared of the sun. He recoils, and this is when he was just born. Victor goes like, no, sunlight, stand in it, look at the sun. And Victor stands with his arms open and is like, here's the sun. And then the creature imitates him and does the same thing and realizes like, oh yeah, it's warm, I like this. And so the movie ends with him standing out in the ice, seeing the sun set or rise. I don't know what it's doing, but it's like it's barely over the horizon. And he kind of basks in the sunlight with his eyes closed, and then the movie ends.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense when I consider that interpretation of it. It's can be metaphorical.
And then
just like
in the post-credits scene,
there was post-credits?
There's a shot of Mia Goth, because she was left dead on this slab in the cave. She's dead, and her face is all white, and her eyes fly open, and she goes, and then it's going to lead into Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, I forgot that's canonically a thing, but I did not stick around for the post-credit scenes.
I'm completely lying. I'm sorry. That was just total bullshit.
What? Really?
Yeah. No, that doesn't fucking happen.
I didn't think so, but I was like, it's Netflix. I guess I was right. You fucking...
And so then they recast Mia Goth as that other chick, and then they let Maggie Gyllenhaal direct it, and it's called Bride of Frankenstein. It's coming out soon, which is actually real.
So this is why AI is tricking people, Kyle. You can't do that to me. I fell for it. and you're real.
Yeah. I tricked you for real. Yeah, right. The Bride. That's it. Maggie Gyllenhaal is directing a movie called The Bride, where it's about Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster and the bride of Frankenstein's monster, played by Jessie Buckley.
I feel like it's going to be tough to follow up this story. I don't think it'll be as good.
Yeah, I'm not sure whatever. That's an irregardless. Yeah. No, there's no post-credit
I'm logging this right now. I'm going to bump this up to a 4.
You're a Frankensteinian talk?
I think I'm going to bump it up a little bit more. Yeah, okay. I think when I was reflecting, there was a lot more pieces that connected story-wise than I thought, and I think that there's more that I liked than I didn't. And even when I think about what stuff I didn't like, it's stuff that I don't really care that much about, but enough to prevent a 5. But so to me, like a 4, maybe 3.5, but it's more than a 3 for sure.
I'm firmly staying in the 3.5 camp. I love Guillermo. I appreciated a lot about this movie. It left me feeling the same way as Nosferatu, where there was a lot to like, but somehow it didn't hit me correctly or as impactfully as I hoped it would. Like, like The Shape of Water, or even like Hellboy, man. I fucking love Hellboy.
What the fuck, dude? That's so cool.
When's the last time you've seen it? They are very good movies.
I have always been on Hellboy Defender.
Yeah,
so
Hellboy 1 and 2 are amazing. But yeah, this one it was missing something, and I'm not sure what it was, but it just didn't get the full marks from me.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, and I think if I rewatch it, it would change, but it's just, I definitely like it more than I thought, or than I am like recalling it. I didn't like it as much, but then when I talk it through, it's like, yeah, there was a lot. I think the other problem I had with it at the time was I thought the pacing at some point feels like there's still 1 hour and 40 minutes. What the fuck are you gonna? And it ends up, I think the creatures half flies by, but at some point I'm like, I don't know how they're going to fill the rest of this movie, and it picks up. So thankfully, like, the longer the movie goes on, the more I started to like it, but I was not really locked in for a long time, and that would stop me from giving it like more. It's like it took me a long time before I could really appreciate all this stuff.
Yeah, it does feel a bit long. Yeah. So there you have it.
I don't got anything else. It was good. I love Del Toro. I'm glad he got to make this.
Yeah,
I don't know that he's made... I still think Pacific Rim is probably his worst movie. And even then, that's at least a fun movie.
No, it's not.
Like, to think about.
I challenge you to rewatch it. It is fucking dog shit. It is such a bad, stupid movie, and I actually forgot he made it. It's embarrassing and horrible.
You still gave it 1.5 stars, though.
Yeah, no, Pacific 1.5 of another star. Yeah, Pacific Rim is genuinely a complete fucking stinky shit movie. But let's not go there, okay, Taylor? You don't want me to go there.
All right, let's not go. Okay. Well, we are gonna go is away.
That's right.
From this podcast. So thank you to nobody for listening this far. We love you.
Goodbye.